Previously on Dandies in Danger. I'm sorry for being an ass.
I'm just glad you actually want to stay in London with the rest of us.
The cab pulls up. I'm Fergus, I'm a cabbie. I'm in a bit of the business of hunting demons.
An angel, as if from the big man.
Oh, you mean God? Yes. 3 of my comrades have been taken and imprisoned by the church. Please, find them, release them. A figure steps out from the shadows. I am Carrion. It seems we all have the same goal. You will need to equip yourselves for such a mission. The Grand Grimoire, seek out Maggot the Purveyor. Fergus reaches up to his wing and he plucks off a feather. It'll protect you from demons.
Let's just think of the next step.
Right.
Hi, my name is Eli, my pronouns are he, him, and I play the voice of Zachary Wilkos.
Hey, I'm Cass, she, her, and I'm voicing Liam Bardsley.
Hi, I'm Chess, pronouns he, she, they, and I voice Daniel Pritchard.
Hi, I'm Toast. Pronouns are she, they, and I play Adrian Edwards.
So the carriage rumbles on, and it stops at Zachary's residence. Your cabbie, Fergus, the angel, gets down and opens the door for you.
Do we pay?
I suppose we do.
I think Daniel paid earlier, didn't he?
Did you?
Oh, I was going to.
Got his wallet out.
All right, well, Daniel...
No, wait, no, I'll cover it. I'll cover it. I just thought I saw you pay earlier.
Oh, thank you for covering it. Daniel never argues when Liam or Adrian, one of his rich friends, wants to cover something.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever Liam gets out his wallet and he tentatively hands the money to Fergus...
Fergus puts a hand up. No, you'll be doing me a huge favor.
Oh, that's true. That's true, actually.
Right, of course. Well, thank you for the ride. I hope we can make ourselves worthy of your trust in us in this affair.
Adrian rolls his eyes.
Do you do much, smiting as angels? Smiting demons, I suppose?
We return them from whence they came.
Of course, yes.
So yes.
Right, well...
Do you have a flaming sword?
A what?
Flaming sword.
No. He looks away and he's like, something else.
Adrian just raises his eyebrows. Alright.
Well, yes, thank you for the ride. Adrian, shall we go in with Zach and Daniel and, figure out what we're going to do next?
Yeah, why are you asking me?
Listen, if you go into that place, just be careful.
Yeah. We've exorcised a demon. We can handle whatever the hell.
Right. Well, alright. I'll trust you. Just don't take too many risks.
Understood.
He closes the door and jumps back up into his seat. Right, well, I'll be wishing you lads plenty of luck. And, God willing, you won't fail.
Is there any way to contact you in case, well, I suppose we succeed, or if we fail?
Pray.
He looks at you weirdly.
Zachary just sort of folds his arms and looks back at him with a raised eyebrow.
Well, you don't pray to me, but I suppose you could use those feathers. Just think of me, I guess.
Right.
So unreliable.
It's not magic.
It
Yes,
right,
it's
but
miracles.
it uses intent like magic.
like magic.
Yes.
Alright.
But they are miracles, I see.
So we'll summon you. Sorry. We'll think of you when we need you.
Precisely.
Right. I suggest we all get in the house right now. This is Zachary holding his head and going up to the door.
Fergus clicks his reins and his horses take off and his carriage leaves. And now you're at Zachary's house.
You know what?
Bye.
Says Zachary, putting his key in the door and turning it before he opens it. And his little cat goes as it trots towards
Oh
them.
yeah, you've got a cat.
Mr. Midnight.
Excuse me, I'll be occupied.
But you know what just occurs to me? He introduced himself, but he never asked us our names. He lets those guests in.
It's true. Well, he also called us smelly, so... Doesn't have much manners.
later, Fergus is driving, and then he smacks his head. He's like, "God, I didn't even ask their names."
This socially awkward angel is everything I could ever want. That makes me very happy.
And now it's too late.
Mr. Midnight goes over to everybody's legs and is just like curling around
Hello,
everybody.
Midnight.
Adrian's just crouched down, looking at the cat.
Cat wants to be fed, so Zachary is immediately going into the kitchen to feed the cat.
Daniel flops on the couch, because this is also his home.
Yeah.
Slight refresher, there's at least an armchair, there's a seating couch, there's like a fireplace. It looks like it hasn't really been used a whole lot. And other than that, there's doilies around, so it kind of looks like this isn't the house of two young bachelors. It looks like actually this is the house of Zachary's grandmother, who Zachary just hasn't changed any of the details of. And I thought I'd just paint that little picture.
And because Adrian, Liam, and Daniel have the angel feathers on them, they can sense that this place is warded, that Zachary's place is protected from whatever may be outside.
What does that feel like? Like, what is the sensation in the mind or body of Liam and Adrian, especially since or Daniel too, because they haven't noticed this before?
Sometimes when walking from one room to another, like, there's a change in temperature, there's a change in, like, sort of like that stagnant air, do you know what I mean? If you're ever, like, walking through some place and you're like, oh, the air isn't circulating that much in here. So it's not stagnation per se, like when they're outside, they feel like they normally do, and then they sort of it feels like they cross into something that they then don't really notice after they cross through it. So it's like a moment of like, something has washed over me, it's kind of warm, it feels kind of like coming into a warm house even though the fireplace isn't lit, and that sort of fades after a few seconds. So it's just like passing through a nice veil of warmth, and then they return to their normal feelings.
Like when you walk into a Walmart in winter and they've got the heaters like right at the front door.
Yeah. But like a little less intense, like less direct heat and more of just like, just a warmth.
Yes,
Okay.
that is what magic feels like.
Here at
like
a
a
Walmart.
Yes.
Yeah. Zachary sort of lets you guys settle in, and when he comes back with like a small tray of bread, butter, and jam. I could get tea going, I guess, he says.
Oh, I'll make it. I love you too.
So,
Why don't you discuss the plan? You'll be more help than me. He goes to the kitchen.
he looks at Liam and Adrian. So we're really doing this, huh?
I mean, I suppose. If that angel is turning to us, I don't know if they have any better options.
Fair enough.
So it's us or a bunch of demons.
I wouldn't want to see something happen to London, like what happened on that ship. The ship was contained at least, but imagine what could happen if it was the whole city.
I try not to think about it, he says very
I think we have
quickly.
to do something, but
We
I
have
just...
to very specifically think about it, actually.
Well, good point. I suppose what I mean is, what I'm trying to think of is the next step. So,
Daniel comes out and he leans against the door frame. He's able to hear you guys.
well, the next thing we need is to go to this market. I've never been there with other people. This is going to be very strange. He shakes himself off. We need to get something that will help us.
Couldn't they have said something more specific? Are they all like this?
Ooh,
Cryptic?
Yes, he nods, and he goes, most of them are quite cryptic. You know, I think it's a stroking their own ego thing.
Wait, how many demons have you met?
Oh, well, he was not like a demon. He was more of... It's hard to explain. He throws his hands up. But listen, the thing is, we need tools that are going to help us infiltrate the church. This is going to be hard because the church can sometimes sense magic. They have their own little precautions to make sure that magic users don't get in. But, I mean, I get in.
Yeah, you work there.
Yeah, you're like an accountant.
Yes, I'm an accountant. So there are some things that they're looking for. They're looking for higher grade magic, I would assume, as I can slip in and out with my little ward around my neck, and also cat's out of the bag. Now I am a practicing witch.
Good job.
If he
Keep
continues-
practicing.
If he continues practicing, he'll get good.
Yeah.
So,
Honestly, Zachary, I don't know how you can keep going about being an accountant with all of this sort of stuff in your life. That's impressive in and of itself.
well, it's easier at the church, funny enough.
And the arts don't pay.
What?
It's easy.
Well, he's not going to make money being a magician.
It's easy at the church, he says, giving a look at Daniel. Because the church is warded. There are no ghosts there to distract me, nobody, and nothing to throw suspicion on me. So the moment I enter that area, I'm just like anybody else.
Rather like a rabbit hiding from the fox in the hound's own kennel.
Did they do that? Do they do that, or is that just a flowery bit of talk?
I guess it would depend on the rabbit and the hound. Like, are they friends?
I don't know. Is the hound there?
No, you
I
get
do
the
like
idea.
the saying, though.
Yes,
It's not a saying. I was just trying to draw a parallel, I suppose. I'm not a poet like you two.
It's alright, I just thought you knew something about hunting that I didn't.
No.
Oh.
I mean, I do know probably more about hunting than you do, but that's beside the point.
They were saying that the angels were underground? What does that mean?
Yeah, that's a restricted area. I've never been there, actually.
Are you allowed?
It's restricted.
Well, there's some... restricted to whom? Some people are allowed in.
Well, I'm not a hunter. I'm a pencil pusher, so I actually don't have a whole lot of access to a whole lot of places. What I mainly do is make sure that the hunters get paid so that they have some incentive to come back. So, I manage the money. There are some records that are close to that entrance.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. What else?
He thinks. This is hard. Am I coming up with this plan?
Yeah.
No, let me... I developed a map of the church, if that's helpful for you.
Yes.
That's exciting.
I love a good map.
I'll just say.
I feel like it would only make sense for Zach to know this.
So the church grounds are warded, which prevents the spirits, demons, and vampires from entering. You first enter through the chapel, which is set up to look exactly like a normal chapel, and it does hold masses there and things like that. From there, you can head underground using an ancient staircase behind the altar, and this is where you reach the first level. This is all stuff Zachary knows. The first level contains a bunch of meeting rooms and storage rooms for the church's affairs, like for Mass and Christmas and stuff. It's got like outfits and the Eucharists and wine and stuff like that. The communion wine, incense. There are janitorial closets on this level, office supplies, office inventory, gardening tools for the orchard and the cemetery in the back of the church. Very surface level stuff. The second level is where Zachary works. It's a row of offices, accounting and things like that. Records, the accounting records are kept here. The common library is here, where the common encyclopedias and informational books are kept, nothing terribly secretive. The third level is where the expertise library is. You don't need permission to go there, but you do need permission to check anything out. It contains information on werewolves, vampires, witches, and their practices, spells, angels, demons. Also on this level are the hunters' offices, reserved by and used only by hunters. So they're interchangeable, you can make a reservation for them. This is also where the meal hall for the non-hunting church staff is, though sometimes hunters still use this hall. So Zachary works on the second level and he eats on the third level. On the second level are also the offices for like office administration and stuff like that, and they would be reserving things on the third level. So all the boring stuff is up at the top. And then on the fourth level is where the hunters' sleeping quarters are. They are rented out depending on use and availability. Hunters normally have their own housing units above ground spread throughout the city so as to avoid suspicion. This is also where the hunter's workshop is, where tools and weapons are repaired and manufactured. So the fourth level is very hunter-centric. It is where everything that the hunters could need for going out that very same night. The fifth level is where the dungeons are. These are the cells that are used to house werewolves during the full moon, provided they turn themselves in while in human form. Cells are also used to keep prisoners. One must be escorted or dragged to the dungeons. They are off limits for any unofficial personnel. On the fifth level with the dungeons, there's also the White Witches' quarters. There are very few White Witches working with the church. Most witches consider them traitors to their own kind. They stay here, never really venturing out. They are essentially captives.
Sorry, I need to erase something real quick.
And that's all stuff that Zachary is telling us.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's probably writing it out so you guys can see all these different levels.
Mm-hmm.
And then the sixth level has the deeper dungeons. It's an ancient part of the church whose walls are crudely chiseled stone, winding catacombs that are easy to get lost in. And very few know how to navigate these halls, and only prisoners needing special containment procedures or beings never seen again are ushered to this location.
Horrifying. I have heard rumors and stories of what could be down there. None of it good, And I don't know if it's true, so I'm not going to keep spreading rumors.
Right, so you have access to...
Basically, the first, second, and third floor. There's nothing really for me on the fourth, and on the fifth, well, I'd need to have some business to go down there. Or I'll be dragged down there, kicking and screaming.
Right.
Actually, the fifth one is what I endeavour to stay out of the most.
I don't know. I feel like we have to go through with this, but I feel like we're putting Zachary at an incredible risk.
I'd say we're putting everyone at an incredible risk.
Everybody is in danger. If the church knew that you were on the ship and that you dealt with demons, they would suspect you of witchcraft.
Well, now we don't have the whatever stench the demon put on us, so it's like we were never there, right?
That's true, but hunters did see us go on the ship, and we were some of the last ones out. Look, we're lucky we weren't suspected of anything.
Well, there were a lot of people on that ship. They couldn't drag everyone in, could they?
Essentially, what I'm saying is, even at the slightest suspicion, you would be putting yourselves at risk. The church take magic very, very seriously as a threat.
Right, but you've been able to hide yours for years.
Oh goodness, I don't go about lighting blue flames in front of hunters, no.
Well, no,
except for
obviously.
a certain particular time.
Well, that was back in the 18th century. They're all dead by now, so...
Yes, it is putting me at risk, but I am very worried about the idea of demons, and angels becoming demons, and if... It just seems all very strange. 3 of his comrades taken down? By hunters?
Is that possible?
They're usually not that good. Because they seem not that good to me.
I don't know. I'd never heard about them until this point.
Well, one of them was powerful enough to capture a demon and trap a ship in time.
He put it in a barrel.
It was already in the barrel.
Then he barely did anything at all.
Then he was powerful enough to pick up the barrel. Sorry, he was powerful enough to order people to pick up the barrel and drag it to the ship.
Where's this getting us?
I think we don't quite have all of the pieces, as it were.
What if we just destroyed the church?
Oh my god.
What if we burnt it to the ground?
Yes, Adrian, please. Tell me how you would destroy the church.
Or set a fire. They don't have
I think
magic to
it's-
put it out.
I think
Do you
it's
have
made
fire
of.
marshals?
I think it's made of stone, though, isn't it?
It's made of stone.
People have destroyed buildings in the past.
I like your thinking, but I think we're going to pocket that idea for now.
I feel like destroying the church is even more a tall order than rescuing some angels.
Well, the building.
What I was saying before is I think we don't quite have all of the pieces yet. So if we can find out the tools that we have at our disposal at this fancy market that I've never been to, then we can work from there and sort of build up our plan based on what we can gain from the market. And who knows, maybe we'll find someone who can give us a little bit of intel.
He did, Ryan, mentioned that perhaps we would find someone who could help us.
Oh, right. He said a purveyor of some sorts.
Maggot?
Maggot, I think, yes. Well, let's talk to this maggot then. And, I mean...
It's a little rude.
No, well,
I understood what
that's
you
her
meant.
name.
I'm teasing you, Liam.
Oh, well, all right then.
Not figured that out.
We definitely need to do some research.
And Ryan said that we needed to bring something to barter with, something with emotional impact. So I suppose the best thing we could do would be for us to, each of us, go about our belongings and find something of value that we could bring with us to the market. And then reconvene to travel there together. But then what that leaves for us to decide is, how are we going to sneak in there without being recognised?
Into the market?
Yes.
Oh, well, I have just the thing, he says, and he gets up, and he goes to the entryway where there's a little closet door, and he opens it. And he pushes a bunch of coats aside. There's a second ring there, and there's different, sort of more interesting cloaks in the back. And he drags a few off the hanger, 3 of them. They're all black. They're all like a heavy black material. Cloaks. And he kind of puts them on the floor in a pile.
They all wrinkle.
It's wool.
I mean, drape them over a chair at least.
He picks them back up, and he sort of hands them to Liam instead.
Liam sort of brushes them off with the back of his hand unobtrusively.
Cloaks, not only for relatively hiding our identity, but making it rather hard to spot us in general. Here, I'll demonstrate. He puts on a cloak, and once he puts the hood on, you cannot see Zachary's face. The shadow is so completely veiled and thick that you cannot see him.
You look like the Grim Reaper.
Oh, don't say that.
A bit too short.
I pictured him taller.
Oh, I could Grim Reap you just fine at my height. I wouldn't, but you know what I mean, he says, and he takes the cloak down.
That's quite exquisite. And spirits won't be able to see us?
Oh, no. It's a cloak of shielding.
Oh, this must be your grandmother's.
Yes, she and her friends would often use them when they went down to the market.
Ah, okay.
Your grandmother sounds like a fascinating woman.
She was quite the drinker.
Oh,
Well-
Adrian perks up.
Yes, she often went gambling down in the market as well.
If she went often, like a girls' night out, maybe it's not that bad.
It's colourful, he says, and he basically closes the door. Anyway, that should conceal our identities well enough and make it impossible for anybody to really recognize us.
Well, that sounds good to me.
You're welcome to keep those.
Oh, sorry. Adrian, if he gets to keep them, that means he could go out and nobody would know it's him and nobody would talk to him. It'd be great.
Though it is, contraband.
Oh.
Do be careful with it, and don't get caught for goodness sakes.
Liam starts looking through to see which one is the prettiest. What colors are there?
They're all blacked up. They're all just a
Do they
simple
all-
Black,
black.
slightly darker black, and darkest black.
Sure, for the sake of fun, there's the trim of it. There's just very subtle, also black embroidery as well. Let's say that embroidery is the spell itself, and
Nice.
that is what makes the cloak obscura.
Very cool.
So we have our disguises, and now we have to think about the things we need to bring.
Obviously, Adrian and I will have to go back to our own homes to pick out the items we're going to be using for barter or whatever it is, and reconvene here tomorrow night. I assume you know the way to this place, Zachary?
I do. I was only taken there. Okay, no, I do go often enough, so yes, yeah, I know.
Is that what your special Saturdays for myself are about?
No.
You go to them.
Oh.
Well,
Oh, that's something else.
that depends. No, stop. Now stop it.
We all need a little me time
Quit.
once in a while.
Enough. I sometimes go there when I actually go grocery shopping.
Really?
Well, yeah, I need to... Well, I'm already getting, the food, so I may as well also get the ward supplies to make sure that the house
Right.
stays warded, so it's a chore day thing. It's not important, listen.
Okay.
And they probably all go to their respective homes and meet the next night.
So the lads are all back at their respective houses, and they are looking through their possessions for things that they can gamble away, things that they have, quote-unquote, imbued with their intent and magic, whatever that means.
Cool.
Ryan did also mention they are things that they use often.
Okay. I'm flubbing it a little bit, but I think these are good items.
All right, so presumably Liam and Adrian have caught a cab down to Zachary and Daniel because they are on the way to Finsbury Market to the Grand Grimoire. So this is a good place to meet up. And you have brought your items that you're going to trade.
Right. Zachary kind of shows what he's brought. He shows a little brown satchel that one would think might have coins or something in it, but when he opens it, it's just a white grainy substance, and he goes, "Salt, purified. I use it often." And he ties it back up, and it's just 6 ounces, so I'm not pilfering everything I have, but, And along with that, he pulls out a small spoon from his pocket. It's my favorite mixing spoon. I stir my tea with it. Be ashamed to lose it, but it would be more of a shame to have demons running the streets, so,
Fair.
Daniel writes something down, and if Zachary sees it, it says, Christmas, Zach, mixing spoon.
No spoon.
Aw. That's so sweet.
Are we doing show and tell? I didn't realise we were...
Well, I'm a little curious what everyone's brought. What did you bring, Adrian?
Well, what did you bring?
I asked you first.
First of all, technically, I spoke before you. So
Let's put it to a vote. Who votes that Adrian should go first? Zachary raises his hand.
Leah raises his hand.
You're all
Daniel
a bunch
raises
of
the hand,
pissed
too.
bastards. All right, well, he takes out, it's a little stone figurine in the shape of a little bear.
Aw.
It's very round, but its face got a chunk off of it.
Oh, what happened to him?
Well, he fell. He was my favourite bear, but he fell and he broke his face.
Oh.
But
That's a
there he
shame.
is.
Liam takes out a piece of paper and writes Christmas idea.
New bear.
New bear.
Bigger? Question mark.
Yes.
I got you an even bigger bear.
Wow. And then he gets out a couple of cufflinks and he's like, I wear these whenever I have to see my father. But perhaps I might, lose them. And so here they are. Here are these that I don't like. And then he gets out a little envelope that looks quite old and worn. And he's like, and this is just a letter. And all, it may be just an old love letter.
Love letter?
Love letter?
Were you courting somebody at one point?
I don't know if that's the word you'd use. It's a letter written to me that I have no use or desire for any longer, so...
Written to you?
That's the end of my turn. What did you bring?
I actually brought a love letter as well.
How
Daniel...
nice.
Daniel pulls out... Yeah, Zach's like, what? Oh, what a curse that someone would write a love letter to you. Daniel pulls out an envelope that seems old, but flat, as if he's been storing it somewhere under a bunch of books for a couple years. And he...
That flat, huh? Sorry.
Yeah, and you can see on the envelope it says Cheryl, and he says, this is a...
I mean, you don't have to give the details.
I never sent this, and it's the most emotionally stained thing in my pile, so I assume that's a lot of intent and magic. Maybe they can do with it what they will. And aside from that, he puts it away and he brings out this busted old quill that has a feather that Zachary recognizes.
Oh.
So this was the quill that I wrote my first 3 novels with.
No, Daniel, you're going to gamble that away.
Well, it doesn't work anymore.
He seems a little sad by it, but he doesn't object.
Well, clearly it has a lot of emotion for me. But it doesn't work for me anymore, so perhaps it will be valuable to someone else. He puts that away. Then he brings out a copy of his poetry collection called The Lily Wilteth, and he says, signed and autographed a copy of this, and he flips open the cover, and it has his signature in it, and then he quickly closes it and puts it back.
Oh, Daniel, do you have any other copies of that?
I do. It didn't sell as well as we thought it would.
Well, I should certainly like to buy one off of you later. Well, after we do all of this.
I appreciate that.
If we survive.
My publicist will also appreciate that.
Sorry.
I'm the pessimist, all right?
You're right. I'm overstepping my bounds. I apologize.
Mm-hmm.
This thing, he pulls out a potted plant from the table behind him, and it looks kind of not great. It's very brown and withered. And Zachary knows that this is the plant that he was quote-unquote experimenting with by talking to it every day, because he heard that helps plants grow.
But he didn't bother to water it or put it in the sun, I see.
Yes. You totally forgot about that. He's busy, man. He's an artist. And he says, well, I put a lot of emotion into this little being as well, though. I'm sure you can't tell.
Poor thing.
He almost looks like he's going to cry.
Zachary gently pats him on the shoulder. You did your best, Daniel.
I didn't. Look.
Well, Liam, what are you bringing?
Yes, your turn.
This is something that I've had to use just in the family business, I suppose. And he pulls out a fancy seal for sealing letters, specifically for the bank, which his family owns. The stamp is a lion's head with a crown. There's a certain amount of emotion that goes into dealing with something like this all the time, every day. But in any case, there's also these, and he pulls out a set of ruby earrings. These were a gift from my cousin. They're not for me, obviously, but...
Well, I was about to say
lovely. You're going to gamble those?
They go very nicely with your hair.
Thank you, Zachary. Thank you, Adrian.
He looks at them so covetously.
I imagine she intended me to give them to someone, but I feel like they'll have a better use here.
Giving them to someone, technically.
Yeah.
That's true. Perhaps not who my cousin had in mind. And then Liam actually genuinely looks a little bit upset and tentative about placing this last thing down. He says, this is a mother of pearl brise fan that I got on my tour of the continent, and as you can see, the craftsmanship is quite remarkable. But I would be happy to let go of it if it means that, we'll be able to... I mean, it very well complements some of my outfits, but...
Are you sure?
You've got
Yes.
so many things, Liam.
I do. It's fine.
No, I'm saying perhaps you could have gotten something else.
Well, it has a lot of memories in any case, so I'll trade this one away. And I also brought some money, because you did mention gambling, and who knows, perhaps a bit of money. I work with money, so...
That's a bad idea. Be sure to keep those on you very tightly. Do not draw out your money unless you have to. Lots of pickpockets.
Oh, all right.
I love how excited he is. Like, oh, it's
Yeah,
a common people's market. Oh, this is where, it's where we go. Seedy play. Oh, so
Adventurous.
funny. Yeah, I like the adventurous spirit in him.
And then, lastly, Liam pulls out a small satchel. He says, and I also brought sandwiches for all of us, because you never know whenever we're going to be trapped somewhere for an incredibly long amount of time, and I don't want to eat any more stale, horrible crackers. So I had Alan whip us up. I had my manservant whip us up some sandwiches. He kind of
Doesn't want to say Alan.
casts a sideways glance at Daniel and then puts the sandwiches down.
It's very thoughtful.
If Daniel is experiencing any emotions, he is hiding it. And he distracts himself with the sandwiches and he says, well, those look and smell wonderful. And that's very thoughtful of you.
Right. Well, I think we're ready. Please tell me everybody brought their cloak.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank God. Okay. He dons his own.
Everyone has their feathers
Yes.
Of course.
Black ones.
and their leaves,
Yes.
just in case.
Which, in case anyone doesn't remember, long ago, before this first adventure that I don't remember, we also went to Liam's uncle's house. Before we did a number of things, we went to his house and we saw a tree and there was a talking creature in there. And he gave us some fancy leaves that must have some sort of magical powers.
What I like to imagine is he's just petting Zachary's cat, and he's just like, if you don't remember. The cat's just looking at him with big, bright, greenish eyes going, because you went there. Gently taps the cat on the head.
Right, well, Zachary, is that all we need?
I should say so.
Right. And remember the goal. We're there to get something.
We don't even know what we're there to get.
Maybe we're just there to do research.
Wait, the purveyor. I keep forgetting. We should go talk to that purveyor person.
There's somebody that we should talk to who will help us with what we need, and it's possible that Maggot might also be on the up and up with what we're attempting to do here. So it's hopeful that they might have something that will help us in this situation. Maybe not a weapon, but something.
And you never know what you can find when you go shopping.
Oh, I can tell you're very excited about this, and I don't know if I'm glad that you are, or if I should be a bit worried.
Well, it's not a cursed ship or anything like that. We're just going to a market.
Right, well, going to the cursed ship, we also thought we were just going to go to a cute little museum, and you see what happened.
Well, let's get it over with then.
Right.
Right, well, I think we should call our friend. Daniel pulls out his feather, just in case he has any advice.
His advice was not to go to the market, wasn't it?
Let's see if he has other advice.
All right.
Like a magic 8-ball, we can shake him and see if he's got a different answer.
Just keep shaking him until we get the answer that we want.
All right, fine, go. Just stop shaking me.
Stop, I feel sick. I'm gonna Ralph. Right. Daniel pulls out the feather and he squints at it and then he squints at it. And he looks at Zach and he's like, is this what he meant?
By filling it with your intent.
Yes. And they actually hear hoof falls.
I should say so.
And indeed it is Fergus's black carriage and his 4 different colored horses.
Wears an awful lot of black for an angel.
It's a lifestyle.
It's not a phase, Mom.
Can I,
He's gothic and you all the rest of you are posers.
I want to know what color the horses are.
I was gonna say I want to perceive the horses.
There's I won't have you roll for that. There's a palomino, there's a black horse, there's a brown horse, there's kind of a stumpy little white with gray spots horse.
I love them.
They're just all very they're extremely ordinary looking.
Liam, which one is your favorite horse?
I rather like the dappled one. What about you?
I mean, I like the black one, you know.
Obviously.
It's a lifestyle after all.
And Fergus pulls up. He says, I guess you're going, aren't
Are
you?
we outside?
Yeah, we are outside.
Okay.
We feel the Walmart heater as we exit the warded space of Zachary's apartments.
And it is not just because it's his house, but you feel slightly colder, as in you are outside of a space that you know 100% is safe. Like you are almost feel a little more exposed to the bone. Yeah.
But you do feel kind of protected. You feel the warmth in your pocket of those angel feathers. But it is still kind of like being in a scuba suit in the ocean, where like technically there are still sharks and stuff. It is a little bit dangerous leaving Zachary's home. And Fergus pulls up, and you feel that good energy from him, and you feel a little more comforted and a little more protected now that he is here. He looks you over and he says, I guess you're all going, aren't you?
Didn't give us much to work with, you know.
Well, I don't have much to work with, to be honest.
Well, great.
Right. He jumps down and he opens the carriage.
Open.
Zachary does so, nodding to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody hops in. Thanks.
They close the door, and then they head out. They go to Finsbury Market. They get there, and he stops the carriage. He opens the door for you guys.
Liam turns again, this time not offering to pay, but he's like, do you have any stake in the different types of churches? Not the one we're trying to infiltrate, of course, but I mean, like, theologically speaking.
What do you mean?
Well, you know, the Catholics, the Protestants, the Church of England, all of that sort of stuff.
Are you asking me what my religion is?
Well, I suppose I had already assumed that, but I mean, who's...
Oh, Liam, we don't have time for this, sighs Zachary.
Oh, poor guy. Poor guy.
Never mind. Thank you again for the ride.
Right. It occurs to me, I still have to feed me horses. I'm wondering if perhaps it wouldn't be too much to ask for you to pay for this ride.
Wait.
The hell?
Oh, of course.
Liam, he's playing you. He can tell.
Liam reaches into his pocket again. I was like, I'm so sorry. I didn't even think. I apologize. Here, obviously. And for their last ride as well. He offers him more money again.
Thank you. He takes it and he says, you are doing me a tremendous favor, but I'm not financially in a position to return too many favors.
Great.
Zachary is very curious about the,
Oh, you awfully have a lot of human problems for an angel.
Yeah, that.
He looks very tired and he says, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, well, if you're looking for the Grand Grimoire...
He points to an intersection in the road, and he points to a little door across from that intersection.
It's over there. The one with the dragon head.
Right. Thank you.
Be safe.
Of course.
He gets back up on his carriage, and he gives you guys one last look. As he's thinking something, he looks like he wants to say something, but decides against it, and he clicks his reins and he leaves. The crows watch you as he goes.
Really does not inspire a lot of confidence.
No.
Liam is staring still. His eyes are like really wide and sparkly again.
Liam
shakes his head.
Quite all right.
Oh, yes, of course. Shall we get shopping?
Fellows, before we go anywhere, he puts his cloak up so that he's obscured.
Liam pulls his.
And then Zachary leads the way to the door.
What you see is this door that is it's on a lower level than the street. So you have to walk down some stairs to get to this door. It's a very unassuming, pretty ordinary looking dark red door with a little tiny insignia of that same goat / one-eyed dragon head that you saw on the card.
Zachary puts a hand on the handle to try and open it.
It doesn't budge.
Well, you've been here before, haven't you?
Well, not to this particular place, no, just to the market area.
Oh.
He knocks on the door.
This little eye hole slips open, which is integrally a part of the door. It did not look like there was an eye hole here, but suddenly, as if it had always been there, it opens, and two suspicious-looking eyes peer out at you.
Hello?
Hello.
I assume you're waiting for a password?
No. Come on in.
The eye hole closes, and it's just a seamless door again, and then the door opens.
Oh, all right.
And there was no one at the door.
Clever, smiles Zachary, as if charmed by that, and then walks in.
So you enter, and there are many smells here, some of which you recognize, but most that you do not. There's the familiar scent of ale and harder liquors, of wooden barrels imprinting themselves on aged wine. There's the stench of bodies in a room, but also unidentifiable smells, akin to ashes, burnt hair, something sickly sweet and floral, and something that stretches far back in the mind, nudging at memories long buried since childhood. In a word, this place reeks of magic. Only Liam and Zachary can identify familiar scents to when they last traversed the Fey realm, as those memories are still lost to Adrian and Daniel. Still, perhaps this has awakened something within the latter two, like some latent dream still impossible to grasp, but just out of reach. All of this is discovered in a moment. When their eyes adjust to the dim lighting, the lads become aware of how packed this place is with bodies. Unnaturally tall, cloaked beings drift across the floor, while short beings with pointed ears bicker with one another, presumably about trade. A few masked figures sit at tables lifting strange elixirs to their mouths, with even stranger hands, and whispering amongst themselves. One of these figures sits apart from the rest and studies a tarot spread before him. He pauses in thought. His tattered hood hides his expression, so there's no telling what sort of thought that is. Whatever it was, it seemed inadequate, for he slowly shuffles the cards back into the deck and tries again. A large wall of various liquors and jars of strange objects adorn the back of the establishment, and a large, thick woman serves drinks behind a counter. She appears mostly human, but you guys can sense that there is something a little monstrous about her. Definitely something more than human. It's difficult to pin this down at a distance. She listens half-heartedly to a devil with tomato red skin, pointed ears, and a small set of horns. He's the only one seated at the bar, other than a lithe woman with otherworldly beauty, who sits far away from the two, surveying the room as she stirs her glass with a finger. Her eyes fall on Daniel, who meets her gaze beneath his hood. She stirs the golden liquid in her glass, then lifts her finger to her mouth, sensually rubbing the liquid over her plump, placid lips before sucking the drink from her nail, never once breaking eye contact. Daniel blushes a deep red.
Uncomfortable.
Daniel doesn't find it uncomfortable.
Neither do I.
Daniel finds it something else. So here I want to reintroduce the Fright Meter. This is if you feel like you are experiencing something a bit harrowing and this kind of interferes with your character's composure, you can mark it, and you can mark however many you want, and once it gets to 8, this enacts some sort of something that is unique to each of our characters.
Consequences.
Yes, consequences.
And we can choose to add this voluntarily, or
I can give it to you.
Or you can give it to us.
Yes.
Make us roll for it.
Yes. I also want to introduce the luck point system, which if you accrue a positive amount of luck, that's how many times you are able to roll with advantage in this magical area. And if you start accruing negative numbers, bad luck, you have to roll with disadvantage for that many times. So you can choose when to spend your positive luck points, and you will be forced to use your negative luck points if you've accrued bad luck. And right now, you all are at 0. Would anyone like to roll for perception?
Zachary would.
Okay.
Yeah, I will too.
I am going to take one frighten, just because it's an unusual situation with many people.
Okay.
Dang, I've got bad rolls tonight.
Add your wisdom.
Oh.
8. I don't perceive a thing.
Okay.
11.
8, 11, what did you get?
Nat 20, baby.
Whoa!
All right. And what does Daniel see with his special eye? A 5 plus a 5. That's 10. Okay, so all the 3 of you, Zachary, Adrian, Daniel, are very taken in by the surroundings, and you're a bit distracted. Your eyes are flitting everywhere,
very
but not.
distracted.
Yeah, Daniel's extremely distracted by one thing in particular. But Zachary and Adrian are looking around and are finding it difficult to focus on one thing and take in one thing. Liam, very goal-oriented, looks around and tries to look for this maggot person, whoever they may be. It's impossible to tell who they could possibly be, except that Liam does notice there is this bird-like creature over in the corner, back against the wall, surrounded by a bunch of what look like goods. Bottles, scrolls, and other things he can't quite make out in the din.
Liam gestures with his head and he says, I'd wager that person over there is someone that we can talk to for goods and services. It looks like they've got their wares spread out about them. If they aren't Maggot, perhaps they know where Maggot is.
Huh? What'd you say?
Daniel,
Are you alright, Daniel? Is your heart okay?
Oh, yeah. Heart's fine.
I'm gonna give Daniel -1 luck. -1 luck for being tempted by this being.
Zachary looks in the direction that Daniel was looking and then looks back to Daniel. Really?
He's a simple man.
And you all, because you have the angel feathers on you, you can sense magic from different beings. And if you were to look at that being that Daniel was looking at, you can tell that they are a strong neutral energy.
Oh, come on, Daniel. She's probably a
neutral
succubus.
bad. I'm going to give Zachary +1 because you guessed that they were a succubus.
Hey.
Nice.
+1 luck.
Thank you. So don't waste your time. All she wants to do is drain your energy and then leave you on the street for dead.
So that's a regular night for him.
I mean, it's happened before.
Daniel,
Have some self-respect.
Come now, let's go talk to this person over here and see if they can find us, Maggot.
Right.
Focus.
Keep an eye on
Right,
him.
yes.
So,
Let's all go over there.
okay.
Let's approach.
The approach.
All right, you are approaching them?
Yeah.
You have to squeeze through different magical bodies. All of you can sense the energy of the different people who pass you, and there are a lot of powerful magical people here. It's kind of like being in a Shark Tank.
Mm-hmm. Zachary is uncomfortable. I'm going to give him 1 fright because that feels correct to his character.
I am also going to give Daniel a fright. Actually, you all get a fright because you've realized where you are.
I already took a fright. Can I leave it at that? Or do I have to take another fright?
You can leave it at that because your fright came from recognizing your situation.
Oh, right.
So this is just
It's
more
only
of the
just
same
hitting
for you.
the rest of us.
So you squeeze past these bodies, thankfully without too much incident. One person Liam accidentally nudged with his huge shoulder, and they turned to you and hissed. But they didn't pursue it.
Liam apologized, certainly.
Yeah, probably. And you approach this table with a bunch of shelves on it, and there's a bunch of different bottles. There's some glowing things in the bottles. There's different types of fungi on cute little logs. There's a little sign that says "Grow your own fungi."
Stop!
Adrian's really eyeing some of this.
Hashtag aesthetic, baby.
There's various animal skulls. There looks to be a real human skull. There looks to be a real almost human skull, but it's got weird teeth and some horns in weird places jutting out in asymmetrical parts on the cheeks. And behind this bird creature, you also see a bunch of scrolls.
Can I also ask, like, how much of a bird this person looks like?
Yes. So you approach a winged, beaked creature covered partially in skin and mostly in feathers. Unlike Fergus, whose appearance is that of a winged human, this person possesses far more bird-like features. Her neck is long and crooked, and her wings hike up above her head like a vulture's. In place of hands, she has the fleshy feet and talons of a bird of prey, adorned by numerous rings, sometimes multiples on each finger. Her face is that of a bearded vulture, powerful black stripes leading to striking red and white eyes. She's old, but despite her hunched disposition, her feathers look clean, and her buttons on her waistcoat shine a brilliant gold. She cocks her head at you as you approach, in a bird-like manner.
Welcome, welcome. I am Maggot the Purveyor. Are you a magic user or know someone who is? My goods make excellent gifts if you yourself are without the touch. And if you are,
she reaches into a basket, pulling out a small fat tome labeled, "Harnessing the Power Within, A Beginner's Guide to Magic" by a harpy.
It is quite easy to learn, I assure you.
She looks at the cover of the book and then back at you, tapping the words "by a harpy" and squawks.
That's me.
I don't think Adrian can process this person he is looking at.
Sorry, did you introduce yourself as Maggot?
That is indeed my name. Maggots are hard-working creatures. It is an honor to bear that name. They're quite delicious too, though I'm sure you already know. Your contemporaries in Italy, with the cheese.
Okay.
But never mind. I sense that you four are humans.
That is an astute observation.
Wonderful. I'm running a special at the moment.
She opens the book she wrote and pulls out 3 loose leaf pages.
You may pick 2 of these 3 to learn with the purchase of any vessel. And if you like what you see, there's more where that came from.
She taps the book once again.
The book is 15 gold pieces if you're interested. I would sell it for less, but it's not been picked up by any major publisher, so I can't afford to sell it wholesale. It's of utmost quality, I assure you.
he shoots a glance at Daniel first, but Daniel, of course, can't see Zachary's face, so he just looks back at Maggot, and he goes, what? Okay, hold on. These are all very lovely, says Zachary. What other vessels that we would purchase?
Oh, yes, of course.
She pulls out 2 little ruby cufflinks.
I have these for 2 gold.
And then she reaches over and she pulls out a necklace with an ivory carving of the profile of a young lady. It's a little cameo.
Adrian is making these noises.
I love that.
This is a beautiful piece. Only for 1 gold.
And then she pulls out a sapphire ring.
This. I am willing to part with this for a mere 3 gold.
And she puts it down, and then she pulls out this beautiful 3-inch long, dark, black oval with a bunch of silver around it.
She says, this is real obsidian and real silver.
So she puts it down 4 gold. And then she pulls out something that looks like a handheld mirror, only there is no reflection in it. It's all completely black. It's almost impossibly black, and there seems to be a weird amount of depth to it, as if you were gazing into a very dark lake.
And this is a scrying mirror, but I'm sure you already know. This I will part with for 5 gold.
And she places these in front of you.
Liam sort of flinches at the mirror, but he's intrigued by the other items.
They're all very pretty.
So, we would purchase a spell, and then you would put this spell in these vessels?
You would purchase a vessel, and then you get two of these 3 spells for free if you wish.
That sounds like quite a deal.
It does sound like the deal.
Do you take cash money?
Oh, I only take gold, I'm afraid.
She clicks her little ringed fingers together, and they are all made of gold.
So very attractive.
Thank you. I'm very fond of it.
Do you happen to be a friend of, someone named Ryan Carrion?
Her feathers go up, and she says,
Oh, please don't speak that name here in front of my beautiful establishment.
Oh, sorry. Never mind. Anyway, let's forget I even said that.
Yes, we shall forget that.
Can you tell us a little bit more about the spells?
Yes, of course.
And then she pulls out these 3 loose leaf pages, and they are written in English, so you guys can read them.
Nice.
One says, Spell of Projection, and the instructions say, apply blood to a vessel to inhabit it unconsciously. Project the mind wherever the wearer goes, and a moderate distance outside of them, but you cannot interact with physical objects.
Fascinating.
And then the instructions say that you have to apply blood to the vessel while chanting the appropriate prayer, which is included here, and then it has the prayer, or the spell.
Wow.
And then the second paper says, Spell of Shared Sight, which you temporarily see through the eyes of someone else. It can be applied directly to the eyes or on a reflective vessel. It is best with a mirror, says the little spell. It works for 1 hour. It can be used as often as needed. You ready a potion of herbs, dust, and tears to enchant it with words included in the scroll, and you apply it to the third eye of the person who wishes to see, and you apply it to the eyes of the person that they'll be seeing through. And then the third spell, which comes free with a purchase, is the spell of Persuasion. It only works once. You convince someone entirely. It wears off after 15 minutes. What you do is you touch the corner of your lip, say the incantation, and then make eye contact with the person you wish to convince, and then speak your command with that intention.
A very saucy little gesture.
Dang, I like that.
And those are the free spells. You also see there is a spell of Invisibility. Grants the caster invisibility for 15 minutes. This is 6 gold. There is a spell of Mimicry. It allows the caster to take on the appearance of someone else for half an hour.
Dang.
This is 8 gold. It requires a piece of that person's DNA, like a follicle of hair, a toenail, or some of their blood. And again, the free spells are the spell of Projection, which allows you to kind of meditate and astrally project your consciousness somewhere else where your physical body is not. And then there's a spell of Shared Sight where you can see through the eyes of someone else. And then there's a spell of Persuasion. You convince someone entirely for 15 minutes.
Whoa. These are all very lovely. Are you sure you only take gold?
Yes, I'm afraid so. But what else were you intending to pay with?
Well...
Paper money.
Oh, I don't take paper money. I'm very sorry.
Can I try trading my little cufflinks?
She cocks her head in a bird-like manner. She says... She kind of stretches out her talons and she says,
Well, let's see these cufflinks.
He gets them out. He's a little nervous putting his hand there, but he drops in the cufflinks.
She takes the cufflinks and turns them over in her hands. Can you describe the cufflinks to me?
But, well, gold?
They're gold.
Yeah. gold, and they got some kind of pattern, I guess, on the flat round side.
Is there any stone?
No, I think it's just gold, and I don't know, it's like a fancy little crest or insignia.
Oh, is it like his family's crest?
I guess so. I don't know what that is.
Okay. She looks them over and she says,
They're quite high quality, I thought.
These are worth 1 gold.
1 gold. Is there anything else here that was 1 gold?
That cameo that you fancied
Well, that
was 1
very
gold.
nice. I'd be willing to trade those.
Are these pieces of jewelry here, are these purely aesthetic? This, like the cameo, for instance?
she cocks her head. What do you mean?
Well, are they just for looking pretty, or do they have some purpose?
They are very good vessels.
Vessels. I
Yes.
see.
So the spells would be going into them.
I
So we wouldn't
see.
just have these spells. We would
Yeah.
have these things, and these things would be the thing that holds the spell.
Yes, they are all crafted in such a way to perfectly hold any spell that you wish to imbue them with. To a point.
Do we get to keep them after the spell is used?
Oh yes, of course. You purchase the
right.
vessel.
Then I'm definitely trading those cufflinks for that cameo, please.
Wonderful. And I'm running a special, as you know. You get to pick 2 of my free 3 spells.
All right. Somebody else help me make that decision.
So she pulls up the cameo necklace and she starts wrapping it in beautiful little cloths
Oh,
and
thank you.
preparing your order.
That's lovely.
So
Well, Daniel, Zachary, what spells do you think we should go for? We've got the spell of projection.
The persuasion one seems quite good.
yes, it does.
That's true. That could be very handy for us. Well, let's get... Wait a second. Pardon me, Maggot.
Yes.
Miss Maggot? Mrs. Maggot?
Oh, I am not married anymore. Miss Maggot is fine.
Miss Maggot, for this spell of persuasion, it says here in the fine print that the command lasts for 15 minutes, yes?
Yes.
If, well, for example, you were to command someone with something and they agreed to do it for you and the 15 minutes passed up, would they then recall that they had followed that command and question it, or is there some sort of guarantee that the command would not be questioned afterwards?
They would inevitably question their actions and wonder why they listened to you.
I see. Well, that is very valuable information. What do you all think? Should we still go with it? 15 minutes is better than no minutes.
I'd say it's definitely one of the ones we should have on us.
All right. Well, Adrian?
Oh, yes, well, could I please have the spell of persuasion, please, into my pretty little necklace?
So, oh, you want me to instill it?
I thought it was just part of the service.
Oh, well, I suppose I could. There's a lot of magical energy in here, though.
Adrian just doesn't say anything because he doesn't know what to say.
All right.
She cracks her talons and then she picks up the scroll and she squints at it and then she says, oh, and then she reaches into her little waistcoat and she unfolds these little spectacles and she puts these on her beak.
That's cute.
And then she looks at the spell and she says, and she takes the cameo and touches her palm to it and she closes her eyes and she says some words that none of you really recognize. Not even Zachary really recognizes these. You see a little bit of a light and all of you can sense magic coming from her. I was going to say lips, but she doesn't have them. Coming from her beak, coming from her voice, and working its way down her hand and then going into the necklace. And then she finishes and she opens her eyes and then she uncovers the necklace and all of you can sense that there is magic. There's a spell in this little cameo, specifically like in the little portrait itself.
Nice.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
And then she rolls up the scroll and ties it with the little twine that she also ties the wrapping of the cameo with.
And you can also pick another spell.
Oh, yes. What else, lads?
Let's see. What's one of the free ones? It's the second free one, the spell of...
Perhaps
A shared sight or spell of projecting yourself.
Perhaps Adrian leans in. Could we project ourselves into the scary dungeons and speak to the...
That might be an idea.
Can you communicate with people when you're projecting your
You
consciousness?
cannot mess with your environment, is all I know. But
Can you speak?
Miss Maggot,
Yes.
when one is projecting their mind, is there also a possibility of speaking to someone?
Yes.
Oh.
But you cannot interact with things physically. No stealing anything. A lot of thieves try to buy this spell and steal something with it, only to find that they can't lift anything once they've gotten to their intended target.
So you can speak to other people, but can other people see you?
No.
I see. So we would be just like a voice on the wind to somebody. Interesting.
I suppose that one sounds rather helpful.
All right.
Should we do that one?
I don't see why not.
It says we have to apply blood to the vessel.
Oh, well. Just prick your fingers.
Well, we would need to purchase another vessel, but we don't have one right now.
Bollocks.
Do you know if there might be a way to exchange the currency we do have
To the
for
counter.
gold?
Well, I don't do the exchange myself, but I know the gambling table in the other room often gambles away money and personal items in exchange for gold, and that's where many of my customers go.
Gambling. I see. He very obviously turns himself to his 3 friends and goes, I suppose that's the only way to get gold, then you might want to throw in for a game.
I suppose so. That must be what Ryan was talking about. I mean, that must be...
He gently, swats his shoulder.
Yeah, and the maggot goes,
I told you not to mention that name.
Sorry, slip of the tongue.
Very well.
She rolls up the second scroll. You guys wanted the persuasion and projection. She rolls up the projection, ties it in twine, and then she gives this neat little package to Adrian, who purchased the vessel.
Thank
and
you.
she's
You're welcome. And the gambling table is back there,
and she points behind you all.
behind the red beaded curtain.
All right.
Good luck.